YouTube, what's good? It's your boy, Tombo, aka Tommy with a Plus, and you are tuned in to my introduction video. This is the Tommy with a Plus introduction video. This is the first #Wordsorless vlog slash intro video slash upload type of thing. We're gonna be hitting YouTube hard this year, man, and I'm super excited. So yeah, man, without further ado, we gonna get into it. Yeah, as we progress and go through, I'll have, you know what I'm saying, like a nice little intro vid and all that stuff be going. But for now, y'all get this pure, raw, uncut energy. You feel what I'm saying? So before starting, I just want to say, take this time, man, if y'all will, follow your boy on Instagram, _Tommy with a Plus, and then you can follow me on Facebook at Tommy Lee Maxwell. Follow my artist page, Tommy with a Plus. That's +OMMY with a plus, all spelled out, all together, all connected. You can find me on all music platforms, same way. Tommy with a Plus is going to be +OMMY with a plus, all spelled out, all connected. So yes, I am the CEO and creator and original founder of #Wordsorless. #Wordsorless was created, so in an ideal sense, idea-wise, I created it in my mind in 2016 when I was living in Joplin, which I'm currently still living in Joplin. I was living in Joplin. I was playing football at the time. I was a student athlete, and basically what happened was I tore my labrum in my shoulder. I was playing football, play wide out, dog. Yeah, I was playing ball there. I tore my labrum, man, and I got super lost, and trying to find myself and find purpose, because it was my first time in my life not being able to play football. I'd played football for the last 11 years of my life up until that point. So in my head, you know, I got to college and everything. I'd played junior college, and then transferred to Missouri Southern State. And so in my head, I was going to at least do semi-pro, Canadian, NFL. Like, I knew it was a possibility, but you know, I never would have imagined that football would be taken from me the way that it was. And so yeah, and that's when it became legitimate in, was it April of last year? I want to say it was April 2019 is when it became legitimate on paperwork for everything, the legitimate LLC and everything. But I have been building it long before that. So just a little about myself. I am from, if you can't see what this says, this is St. Louis Cardinals. I'm a St. Louis native, real Lou heads. Shout out all my Lou heads. Shout out all my Illinoisans. 618-314. Goddamn. Yeah, man, I ain't got no love for no other. You feel me? 618-314 shit, man. But 314-618 shit, I had to make sure that shit get clear. Originally from St. Louis. I went to many schools throughout St. Louis. I lived in Jennings. I lived in North Side. I lived in South Side. We lived in goddamn Riverview. I lived in Maryland Heights, lived in Bridgeton. Yeah, I did a lot of moving around. I lived in Illinois a lot too. Did a lot of moving back and forth. And so, yeah, my life was always surrounded around music, but I never knew, because I started playing football when I was, 11? I played till I was 22. So yeah, I started playing football when I was 11, usually a little later than everybody else. And then, sorry guys, I'm driving here a little too. So I started playing football when I was 11, and I had actually went to play and go when I was like 7 or 8, but I'm going to tell y'all on some true honesty, I was too soft for that shit. I tried to play on my uncle's team, and we were like bear crawling and running and stuff. This was before we even got pads. I'm telling y'all right now, I was crying like a little biatch. My mom had to come on the field. She had to come and get me. She took me off. So then I played a little bit of basketball, played a little bit of baseball, did some running track, and then I got back at it when I was 11 and absolutely fell in love with it. And that story takes off from there. So from there, growing up, man, like I said, music was always a part of my life, and I never knew it before. Like, I never knew it because like sports was always the prominent thing, you know, but like I could never remember a math equation. Like this was the biggest argument me and my mom had growing up. Your ass can't remember no fucking math equation. You can't remember no damn social studies, nothing, but you can remember that song on the radio, because I could always remember like the top 20 or like the top 30, top 50, whatever it was at that time, like in the early 2000s and stuff like that. Every song that was on there, I could remember. Rather played on the radio. Y'all know back then we had the MTV stuff, the VH1 stuff where the music videos would play in the morning and shit. So like, I was just always tuned in and tapped into music, and the way like it could just make me feel, it just was amazing. I played instruments. I was in band all throughout my life. I did a little bit of orchestra in the beginning, but that shit was not it. True alto saxophone player. Did a little bit of drums, but once I got to high school, they told me that I would have to choose between like band or damn, it was an Arvis right there. They told me I would have to choose between band or football, and it was literally like, it was no question. Like, it was no hesitation. That shit was out the door. So, yeah, man. And then, I'm not going to lie, I was a troublesome kid. I got into a lot of trouble. I moved schools a lot. I was suspended a lot. I almost did not graduate, not once, but 2 times. What can I say, guys? I was troublesome. I was just dealing with a lot as a kid, man. Not having my dad around. My dad went to prison for 9 years before I had even turned 1. Or maybe I might have been 1, but around that area. So I didn't legitimately meet my dad till basically I was 11, because he did 9 years and some change, then he did a little bit of time in the halfway house. So that was always a struggle for me growing up. And then I'm not going to say that, you know, we were piss poor, but I mean, we struggled a little bit. Watching my mom bust her ass and work hard to get me pretty much whatever it was that I wanted, while going to hair school at the same time, trying to get her cosmetology license. So it was just like, it was a lot of time for me to be bad. And granted, I was pretty well mannered around my mother because I had the utmost respect for her. Shout out moms if you're watching this, if you see this. It was hard, man. It was a hard time. And then not always growing up in the best areas, being from St. Louis, even being in a lot of the better areas, man, you guys know when you're deeply into trouble will find you. Wherever you go, it will follow. If you're not really trying to avoid it, it will follow you. And so it followed me. And so then I got into some trouble my sophomore year, some pretty bad trouble. And basically my mom was like, you need to change. So she sent me up to Edwardsville, Illinois, where I attended Edwardsville High School, to live with my grandparents. As you all can imagine, this was quite a switch for me, living with my grandparents, coming from the freedom that I had with my mom to my grandfather, who's a hardworking man, still working to this day, and then his wife at the time, who was ex-military. So it was just a different kind of household, man. And then on top of that, I was living with all girls. I had my smallest younger, who I would consider to be my sister, Naja. And then I had Colette, who was around 4th or 5th grade. And I had Yasmin, who was around my age. So literally going from having all of this freedom all the time with my mom, doing whatever I want, being with my guys, being in the streets, being out late, doing whatever, to now I got this strict ass curfew. I'm living with all women. I'm being pressed like about doing chores and doing all these things. And then I'm at this school, was predominantly white. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was not feeling this shit, but I'll tell you this. And then on top of that, they didn't want to let me into the school because my record was so bad. My record was so bad from all the other schools. And mind you, Edwardsville is a public school. I had to have like meetings and hearings and like go through all these loops. And basically like they told me like I was a one and done. Like if I did anything there to tarnish their reputation or bring trouble to their school, like I was going to be expelled. Or I was going to get expelled. Yeah. Expelled. Yeah. So I didn't get in trouble there. just so you guys know. Changed my life. I started getting deeper into music. I was still deeply into football. I did get into trouble there, just managed it better in a sense of not getting caught. And so that happened. And then, sure enough, classic Tommy move, I left my other school basically, essentially because I wasn't going to graduate. Fun fact. And my mom needed a change for me because I was just getting in trouble. I was in the streets doing a lot of things. I get to Arizona High School. I get to the end of my senior year, and sure enough, I almost don't graduate again because I had just been bullshitting around a lot. Had a lot of big offers, a lot of schools that wanted to get me to play for them. And I couldn't do anything because I'd pissed myself away. So any athletes seeing this, high school athletes, middle school athletes, I encourage you guys, man, push yourself to be the best student that you can be in the classroom. I know it is stupid because I dropped out of college to be an entrepreneur and to do music. And then as well as I only ever made school for me simply because I wanted to play football, and I knew that they go hand in hand. So it was something that I had to do. Don't be like me. Don't do that. Take the time and energy, invest in yourself now, early, doing the things that you don't want to do so that it can be easier later in life, because I promise you it will come back to haunt you later in life. So I get my shit together, barely graduate high school, and then so I have to go to a junior college now. And so figuring out this was very hard because I committed and decommitted from several schools. Shout out to those schools for giving me a chance and opportunity. I was a different person then. I was a little shithead. So I committed and decommitted from a lot of schools that wanted to give me an opportunity to continue my career. And finally, I get myself to the point to where I ended up coming to Independence Community College in Independence, Kansas. For those of you who know where that is, yes, fucking Indy. For those of you who don't know where that is, Independence is a town like this big, like the size of a particle or an atom in Kansas, and it has literally nothing there. It's like a damn McDonald's, a Brahms. They put it like this: they still have U.S. Cellular in that mug, so that should tell you everything you need to know. It's like, bro, it's Independence is something. So usually at junior colleges, you do 2 years and you get your associate's degree. So I get there to Independence, and I'm telling you right now, it was in the middle of nowhere. There's like cornfields and cows and shit everywhere, and I am 6.5 hours away from home. But I'm trying to be optimistic because I'm away from home for the first time, so that's lit. And I'm away from trouble, trying to keep trouble away from me. That's what we're trying to do. So I get to Independence, and for the first time since playing football, what happens? I get red-shirted. Whoop. See the parking spot, had to bend it. I get red-shirted, guys. For those of you who have been red-shirted, you know what that feeling is like. I got redshirted, and I'm going to tell y'all something. It was my first time not playing. I was sick. I'm going to tell you what happened as well. I got lost in college. That first semester, my grades were terrible. I pretty much drank every night. I started getting deeper into like smoking weed and like experimenting with pills and stuff like that, because mentally, on top of the depression that comes with being in the middle of nowhere at Independence, like I said, I got redshirted. It's my first time not playing, and I felt that it was unfair, so I was lost. Then reality hit. Our head coach and our whole coaching staff got fired, and we get wind that we have a new coach and new coaching staff coming. So now things get a little interesting, right? Things get interesting, and then, yeah, he comes in, and for those of you who don't know the story, John Brown, a.k.a. Coach Brown, the crazy SOB that is on Last Chance U on Netflix, came to my school, Independence. And so I'm going to tell you, it was a very crazy time with him and the coaching staff. It definitely turned me to the best, most elite football player that I could become. It was a crazy time with JB. But I will definitely say JB is nothing. Okay, let me not say he's nothing like how they depicted him, because obviously the eye in the sky don't lie. But they depicted him differently than who he was. JB truly... and not just him, the coaching staff as well. They truly invested in you, not just as a player, but as a person, man. And they helped me grow in a lot of ways on and off the field that still to this day keep me in line. So I did that first semester. Then that second semester, they seen who I was and they told me to buy in, and I bought in. I got my grades right. I had my best semester that I had in college. I gained like 18 pounds, chopped a bunch of time off my 40s. I became elite. As Coach Ellington, my old coach, would like to call it, a gorilla in a tuxedo. And so I then realized that JUCO shit was not for me. They invited me back to come back and play, which would have been that season for the Last Chance U, the first one. I didn't want to do it. Man. I was burned out, and I was just ready to go somewhere to call a place home. I wanted to play. And so I had an amazing spring. Moso came, and amongst other schools, I chose Moso. Came to Moso, did my first semester there, ended up tearing my labrum and not playing, getting redshirted again due to grades, things not transferring over. And then once I did get eligible, I tore my labrum. That's when I hit that dark place. Came with #Wordsorless. So, in between all of this, I meet my boy Aaron Hoosier Clark. If you guys don't know him, shout out to Aaron Hoosier Clark. Shout out to Struggle Life. Shout out to Lydia Ray. Shout out Verbal Vintage. Shout out all those guys that started in the early phases of my career. So when I was 20, just turning 21, and I'm fresh out of doing everything I was doing, I had long dreads, cut my hair, out of surgery, doing all that, I met Aaron. Meeting Aaron, how I met Aaron. Okay, let me slow down and go back a little bit. So my boy Jonte, JDP, I had met him. He was quarterbacking with me at Independence. He also lost his position and came to Moso with me. Not intentionally, it was just one of those things. I went there, he went there, and in being there in orientation and stuff, we're like, oh, yeah. And at that time, we weren't as cool as we are now, but we grew. So how do we meet? After being at Moso and stopped playing, he had a girlfriend at the time who was working at McDonald's, and she was playing one of my songs on SoundCloud, which this is early me. So yeah, those of you who know early me, yes, if you don't know, I encourage you all to go to my SoundCloud and travel back to listen to that music. So he heard the music, and he was throwing a show and looking to sign new artists. So he gave me an opportunity, man, my first opportunity to show myself, to prove myself, and I am forever grateful, forever in debt to that man for that, because he didn't have to. He did it for free. He gave me my first show at Club XO, and the rest is kind of history in a sense of the struggle life. I did a lot of openings, NBA Youngboy, Juicy J for my second show. I'm talking about shows, 1,300 people, 3,300 people, 150 people. We just started doing a lot of shows, and then things start to slow up, and people just kind of started to create a picture for me, an image for me that I was seeing, that I realized that I needed to listen to. I needed to start to build and grow Wordsorless. I needed to start and build and get my message out, because our messages were different, and just what we were wanting out of music was different. Nothing against Aaron. I still love Aaron. I have a song coming up with Aaron, and y'all can check us out on YouTube. Bottoms, Hoosier Bottoms, featuring Tommy with a Plus. So yeah, I'll be forever in debt to him. But then #Wordsorless started. So originally, the original founders of #Wordsorless are myself, my boy Jerron Randall, and my boy Chris, who's now known as Chris Cameron in the group. And so from there, man, it was just me getting this overwhelming feeling of I need to get this message out, right? And so what hashtag Wordsorless stands for is pure expression is the only way, the only path to pure enlightenment. All of the answers that you seek, all of the things that you look to go after, all the success that you look to achieve can only be achieved through being the purest you, the purest version of yourself that you can be in all moments, right? So being true to your values, to your core, to your morals at all times, expressing your message, yourself at all times. And that's what it stands for. And so from there, it just hit the clock, man. I knew that I needed to get out. I needed to find these people who believed in this. And so now there are 10 of us total. There are 10 of us total. So there's me, there's JDP, my boy Jonte, there's SOS, my sister Shania, there's KC, aka Chris Cameron, that's my boy Chris Moore, there's T-Manian, that's my boy Fontez, my brother, there is King Lee, that is my boy Robert Lee, there's Trev, my boy Kenai, there's Deja Blue, that is my boy Nate Soria, there's Indigo the Aurora, that is my boy Jeremiah. Who am I forgetting? There is Hennessy, aka Gary, aka Low Key Gaming, and so is there only 9 of us? I felt like there was 10. Huh?
Is it you included?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said me first. Huh. So there's only 9 of us. I'm hoping there's only 9 of us and I'm not forgetting about somebody, because it's really shitty of me if I am. And so, yeah, bro, this is gonna bother me. I feel like there's 10. Because there was 8 and we added 2. Maybe I miscounted. I don't know. That's besides the point. So along with that, there's our camera and social media lady, Miss Leslie. And then I have my merch guy, Dusty Howard. He's not officially Wordsorless, but he does all of my shirts and hoodies and everything. There's his son, Taylor, hashtag TaylorMade. And then we have a stint of photographers and producers kind of as well. Still working some things out with them, so I'm not going to release their name and everything at this moment until I know that they're fully comfortable with that, and knowing some people just kind of want to grow. Some people kind of want to be back off. Also, we have my guy, Anthony Garrido. I cannot forget about my boy Anthony, who is essentially like kind of like a manager, so to speak, CFO, helps out with a lot of the business operations, a lot of the business side of things. Couldn't do anything without Ant. So yeah, there's that. And I'm forever grateful to Anthony and to Gary, because there was a big part of the story leading up to this that I forgot to add. I was homeless for a lot of time. And for those of you who have been homeless, you guys can understand this, just moving from couch to couch, sometimes having to sleep in your car, sometimes having to sleep outside. Me and my mom were going through things at times, so living at home wasn't always an option. And once I left home, I didn't want to go back. And so the first night after being and doing Struggle Life for a year and us having a tremendous amount of success, me and Perk got what we thought evicted from our home. From when I was a college student at Moso. And so it was just like a year of me being homeless, man, couch to couch, just trying to figure it out, but just chasing it, doing whatever I can, shows, And I met Gary for the first time. And the first night that I met Gary, he opened his home up to me. He told me, come live with me. The first night I met him, we were drunk as shit. He does not know me, does not know anything about me. He literally looked me in my eye. He said, come live with me, bro. And I've lived with him twice. I lived with him that time, and then there was another time that I lived with him again. Anthony has made tremendous sacrifice, not paying bills at times, not feeding himself, sometimes skipping out on shift for his kids to make sure that I can make it to a show, or I can get in the studio, or I can do things. Like each and every member of this team, although them being new or not new, has made a tremendous amount of sacrifice, not just for me, but for the team. So this is a team, yes, this is a family, man. And I would give all those guys the clothes off my back, the last bite of food that I had, whatever my last is, I would give for those guys. I would kill for those guys. I would die for those guys. Every single person on this team, and not just only them, but significant others of people on the team, Bree, Sierra, anybody who's ever made a sacrifice or who is connected to these guys that are making sacrifice, I would give, die, and love for them. I'm getting a call on my live or on my feed. I don't know who this is. I'm gonna take it off of Bluetooth. Hello?
What's up with you, man?
Who's this?
Yeah.
What's good with you, fam?